It's just artistic stuff.
Yeah, man.
All right. You've already mentioned it, the prison.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
Can you just tell us the story of what happened, and most important for me was like how this experience influenced you as a person and as an artist?
As an artist, it influenced me like so much. It changed me in like the most positive way. Like I feel honestly it was the best thing that happened to me because it was the worst. You know, and maybe it's my optimism saying that, you know, but you know, a lot of people would get offended because they were hurt by the situation that I was in. But I don't think they really realized I was hurting at the time, you know, and that's why I was in that situation. You know, remember I said about how I was broke? So I was looking for an opportunity to make money, and the industry just wasn't doing that for me. Like the industry or the popping dance culture in general. Like I had, and I'll put him on blast, I had like this dude telling me, yo, we're gonna do, you know, interactive, and we're gonna make these online tutorials, and we're gonna start, you know, flooding in funds, and we'll start making money. And I'm like, all right, cool, you know. And then I had the industry telling me like, yeah, you know, we'll have other jobs and opportunities, and you know, like we'll fly you out. And then I had my day job at the same time, and I was working a day job, and I was looking for opportunities. I even had my other crew, Funny Bones crew at the time, like, you know, we'd do like dub shows, and like all these opportunities were coming, but there was just no money, you know. And like I had a day job that was allowing me to survive, you know, but at the time I was actually in a relationship with my supervisor at the time, who was looking out for me more than anybody, bro. And I mean looking out for me. Like she would, if she really needed to, she would help me get a plane ticket to a certain place so that I could just maintain. There was times where I was going to New York and we weren't getting per diem. We were just getting paid for the performance, and that was it. But they had us in a nice hotel. But I had to pay for food. I had to pay for my own shit. Like, and I'm going a week without work, but the money that I'm making for this job is like, okay, I get the check in 2 weeks. I'm left with no money. You know, I'm living check to check, literally check to check. Every check that I would get every 2 weeks was like reload. It wasn't loading, unloading, unloading. I didn't have money saved. I had nothing saved, bro. And it was, a lot of it was my fault because I didn't have any experience on, you know, expenses. Like how do I save money? I had no opportunity. I had no concept. I had no education on that, bro. Like it was just, I just worked, you know. And I remember building up to a point where I faked my resume to get this job, you know. And then I got the job, and it was through an agency. And then the agency, I passed my training, and then I worked there for like 6 months, and they were like, all right, cool, we think you're good enough to like continue going on. We want you to be a part of the company. So then my pay increased, and I was like, yes, like I have a dope job now, you know? So I was like, I was cool, man, because I was looking into the company at the time to see if I can like even grow from there. Like my goal was to work, it was a health insurance company. My goal was to be a claims processor so that I can work from home so I can dance. Like that was my goal, you know what I'm saying? Like all of it was always about dancing, dude. It was always about supporting my craft. And because I just loved it that much, and I just wanted to do it for fun. I wanted to do it for the love of it. But as I started getting all this like, oh, we could survive, you can make money, like, dude, you could do this for a living, like there's a lot of people pushing me to just be a dancer. But I wasn't a choreographed dancer. I wasn't doing choreography. I was a fucking popper. I was Boogie Frantick. That was it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not a trained dancer, dude. I'm trained like by myself, you know. I trained me. Nobody else trained me, you know, not a school. I don't know. Like, I was learning new stretches, and like, I'll tell you one thing, bro. Like, when I did Step Up 3, I was the sorest I've ever been. From some of the routines they had us doing, I was like, oh my God, because I wasn't used to like being consistent like that. That wasn't my lifestyle. I would just train at night and practice, and you know, I was good, man. But yeah, so anyways, like, it was a struggle, dude. Like, I actually was losing hair. I was starting to go bald. I had to go to a doctor because my stress level was high. My blood pressure was up. Like, everything was going up. And I was like only 27, dude. Like 27 years old. You know, by 28, I was like, I started getting bald spots in my head, getting alopecia. So my doctor prescribed me to take time off of work. And we extended it to a 3-month medical leave because he was like, dude, you're too young. He's like, you don't need to be stressing like this. And I was like, yeah, I do, but you know, I need to figure out what I can do to get out of this situation. Like, I want to dance and I want to survive, but like, there's something about my life I have to change, you know. And it's like, all this shit with the popping world started becoming like more a part of my life than ever because of all the politics that my crew was carrying. You know, the fact that I was representing a crew that was going against the grain of, you know, of like how, you know, the EBs were pretty much in control of a lot of the popping events. You know what I'm saying? So, and in the end, it ended up being a false kind of thing, bro. Like, it really was false. Like, they controlled a lot, but they just taught a lot. You know, they were consistent, you know, so I'm not bashing on them at all. Like, I really feel like, damn, they really were able to be successful with this, you know, because they just were consistent. I was being told that all this was negative, you know, and in my mind, I was like, you know, I'm really not about the negativity. I just want to represent me, dude. Like, I want to represent something more. And I want to give the kids who don't know how to be free, that opportunity to just be themselves. Like, yo, let's just make it happen. So 2010 was like the year, bro, that I was just like a day job. By time, maybe was it May or June hit, I was like, I got medical leave. So I had the summer pretty much to myself. Yeah. So I said, fuck it, cool. I'm gonna take this time off of work. I started doing these TV shows. We started promoting Step Up 3. So we started going, I went to New York a few times. I would go back and forth. And keep in mind, like, my supervisor, on top of the 40 that I would make a year, my supervisor was still helping me with like funding. She's like, here's a couple $100, like, get some food, make sure you eat, make sure you take care of yourself. And I was like, at that time I had a really money hungry girlfriend. So, and she was the one I lived with, and she was just sucking whatever she could from me at the time. And it was just like a bad situation altogether, you know, but I'm trying to make the best out of whatever I could, you know, and I'm feeling like hella blessed because I'm like, okay, I think I could do this dance thing. I just need to save up this much money to pay for my demo reel, to get my headshots, and to, you know, have like a backup of headshots and everything else so I can start with an agency. So I'm hitting up my boy Chris Scott. I'm hitting up everybody that I could possibly think of, like, what can I do to be a professional, you know? And it's like I'm really considering it because now I have the time. I have 3 months to kind of consider it, you know? So by the end of that 3 months, the summer hit. I broke up with my ex-girlfriend. It was just like an all bad situation from that point on. My house was pretty much empty. I didn't even have a bed to sleep on. I was just like, my life just completely went to a whole different direction. And I'm thinking in my head, like, I'm gonna get it together some way or another. I'm gonna make it happen, you know? So I had to leave my job because there was some conflict with my doctor and the medical leave office. So that ended up failing. So they ended up firing me. So I lost my job and I had to apply for unemployment, but I decided not to. I was like, dude, fuck this. Like, this is whack. You know, I'm in a really fucked up situation. Like my life just went from like here to here, like in a matter of months, you know? So I was desperate. I was hella desperate, trying to figure it out. And I started talking to another female, and that's what put me into the situation of going to prison, because there was connections that I had. There's connections that I had with this person that could have, like, that basically was, all right, we have this opportunity for you. You can either make it happen or say no. Like, it's up to you. Like, I'm not gonna say, like, you'll be taken care of, don't worry. So I didn't ask no questions. I was like, what? This much money? Like, yeah. Like, I'll be cool. I can pay rent. I can pay my bills. Like, I'm looking at that. I'm not looking at what is the outcome of this situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm looking at survival, dude. And, you know, my crews are just, like, it just wasn't enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, all this, like, interactive bullshit and, like, oh, we're gonna make money. And it was just like you're full of shit. Like, you're all for yourself, and like that's all you want, was just to basically promote your own fucking thing, so eventually later on in life you could have whatever it is that you have now. So yeah, man, like, it was just, it led up to that point where I finally made the decision to go to Amsterdam. It was after 2010. I decided to go to Amsterdam, and I was offered 20 grand to put my stuff in this luggage, take it to Amsterdam, pick up luggage, drop the luggage off, pick it up, and then come back home. So in the process of that, I ended up setting up workshops. I met some good friends, and I was living the dance life, bro. I wasn't out there like, I wasn't a drug dealer, like as some motherfucker calls me. I wasn't dealing. I wasn't like actively doing drugs. I was just given an opportunity to make $20,000. And I looked at that money and said, I can take care of myself for the next year with this right here. Like, I could do this. I just need to make it home. And that was it. So that backfired. So when I got home, I felt it. As soon as I landed, bro, I felt it. And what I didn't mention was I was drinking a lot. I was drinking a lot, bro. I was like, I don't know, if you know what Bacardi 151 is?
No, I don't think so.
It's like almost like 100 proof alcohol.
Oh, okay.
It's like really, really strong stuff.
It's like spirit.
Yeah, but I was drinking about 2 bottles a week of that. Shit. Like, I would literally pour a big ass cup, and that was my nightcap. That was my final drink after partying all night to put me to sleep. And that got to 1 cup turned into 2 cups. So now when people realize like I don't drink, it's because, yeah, my tolerance was like super high, and I feel like my tolerance will just return. Like, there's no point for me to return now. I look at old pictures of myself too. My face was bigger, like my body was different, you know. It's like, I'm cool, man. I'm cool with drinking water, coffee, and tea. Like, that's it. I'm good now. You know what I'm saying? But at that time, I was drinking a lot, so I could realize like a lot of my decisions weren't 100% because I was desperate for whatever I could make, you know, at the time. And that's really what caused me to be in prison. So I got home, I realized I was drunk at the time too. I landed, and I realized there was something weird. Come to find out, as far as like, I guess somebody got caught, and they ratted out the whole system. So they knew I was connected. They knew all these other people were connected. I don't know who these other people were, but they knew I was connected, and that's how I ended up in prison. So from that point on, all I worried about was making sure my family knew I was okay. But what I didn't expect was everybody to support me. Like, everybody, dude. All of Alex D. Like, I had letters written to the judge by so many different people of the industry, because they all knew that, yeah, I was struggling to get out of the lifestyle of being in conflict with whatever else I was going through. but they also knew me as an artist, and they knew who I was as a person. Yeah. So, for somebody like to bash my name and call me a drug dealer after everything I've done for this fucking dude, like, to me, doesn't hurt me, bro. It just makes me realize how ignorant and how selfish people really are. You know what I'm saying? Because if I was that person, why was my court filled with people? Like, nobody else, and my attorney even said it. He's like, I've never seen this before. I've never seen people waiting outside because there's no room to sit inside of this courtroom. He's like, I've never seen that. On top of that, you have dancers dancing in front of the prison, bro. In front of the prison 2 days in a row. 2 different groups. One was Funny Bones crew, and the other, like, with other friends, like Tetris and all these dope ass, like John Boogs was even there. A few people like that. One that's now like on sadly under fucking regime, and another which is like my old crew, you know, my family, bro, like people that were there for me when I was locked up. And then the second is the Great Winators, some of like my MZK family. Mad Chad was there, Chris Scott was there, like Jekyll was there, Wave-O-Matic. Like, I'm talking about people that, like, you know what I'm saying, like people that really knew who the fuck I was. Yeah. And none of these dudes from that I went to bat for, bro. Yeah. That I went to, like, I fucking went through so much shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of those dudes were there. So tell me, how is it that I am such a bad person or a drug dealer, but yet I had that much support, bro, from the dance community? Like, that to me just, it's, I have to make it a point, bro, because I'm just tired of, like, the negativity that this one person is, like, just completely, like, bashing out on all types of people that have been there for me too, you know? So I take it personal, man. Like, and at the same time, this was a man who was promising that we were gonna make money and survive and live off of the dance. And I've been able to do that without him, dude, now. And because I went to prison and I educated myself, I realized, okay, I'm gonna sit here, I'm gonna train every fucking day. I'm gonna work out, I'm gonna actually read, I'm gonna write. It was like I studied, bro. I studied my ass off. I read a hell of a lot of books. I started reading vocabulary books, grammar books, how to write. So I started writing from prison. I started writing and posting on just Facebook. Yeah. Like, why not? And I realized, why am I gonna make my life a closed book? Why not leave it to be open? I look at all these successful artists, like, let's use Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, for instance. He's a drug addict, you know, but he's one of the most successful actors to this day. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's actors, The Rock, he was using steroids. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's Barry Bonds, he was a drug user, he was using steroids as well, but he was a successful baseball player. Like, I'm talking about, like, I decided to make one decision and you're gonna bash me just for that? That's crazy, bro. That's super crazy. Anyways, but moving on, the point is, the support I had, dude, the support I had was crazy, bro. And I couldn't let these people down from this point on. Like, I realized, like, I was getting letters every week, man, every week. Like, people were sending me letters from all over the world. And I'm like, I'm reading these, and you have to keep in mind, I'm dealing with the Mexican Mafia as well, because we have no choice but to run with our protection. You know, we have to run, and because of my brothers being in gangs, I'm affiliated. So I'm affiliated with this, so now I'm a part of that whole system. And there's politics in the prison, as well, so there's rules I had to follow. However, individually, you have these members who are like, who's lived the gang life, who understands, like, and who's seen me dance, and they love that shit. They're like, oh yeah, you pop lock? Like, yeah, like I met somebody who knew Boogaloo Shrimp. You know, he was like, yeah, that fool used to come to my grandma's house. We used to feed him menudo. And I was like, word? He's like, yeah, he's all Michael Chambers, right? And I was like, all right, yeah, you obviously know him because you know his name, you know? Like, he's not gonna just say his name because, oh, I've seen him on movies. Most people call him Boogaloo Shrimp or call him Turbo because of the movie. But he was like, yeah, and he was from the Harbor area, which is the Long Beach area. I was like, yeah, I knew that kid, man. That kid was dope. He's like, and they would see me dancing on the yard. They would see me dancing on the yard. I would dance for an hour, and then I would go work out with my car, or car. We call it our car. So every day, like, all these dudes have been in and out of prison for like their whole life, bro. Like, live that lifestyle. I'm going like, so you really fucking dance, huh? I'm like, yeah, that's what I do, man. They're like, so you know all these dudes on TV and shit? I'm like, those are all my boys, dude. I would see Chad in a Buick commercial. I saw what they did, Honey 3 or some shit. And there was like another Step Up movie that came out. There was like all these things that were just reminding me every day, what the fuck am I doing in here? What the fuck am I doing in here, dude? And I just remember I would just write, and I would just constantly just train to be myself, to be committed to my art. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There was times where I was just like, oh, fuck it, I'm gonna go dance for a bit. And we luckily had a little radio, so we were able to listen to the radio stations. And that was a bitch because by 12 o'clock, I was good. You had mixes. So I could listen to like 3 radio stations, and the DJs would play mixes. And then I had like a 5 or 10 minute break, because they would play nothing but commercials halfway through. So that would give me like a break, and then the last 30 minutes or 20 minutes would be nothing but mixes. So every day, 12 o'clock, that was like clockwork. That was my thing, except for the weekends. The weekends, they would just play random shit. But for sure during the week, because they knew people at 12 o'clock were listening to the radio. And I was like, Friday nights, bro, I remember I would listen to KPFK 90.7, the station I was telling you about, right? Okay, so the KPFK has, they would have Truth Seekers, they would have Breakbeats and Rhymes, and like some of my boys would DJ on there. And then that drum and bass, like from like 5 to 6 in the morning, no, 4 to 6 in the morning, bro. And it was my homeboy Regal D's radio station. And he's a fucking photographer for one of the longest reigning drum and bass clubs in LA. He's like the literally photographer for this club, and he has his radio station. I had no idea, dog. I had no idea. So I was like, when I heard it was Regal D, I immediately wrote a letter to my boy, like, yo, tell Regal D, I said, what's up? Like, tell him I fucking listened to his show. Give me a shout out. Bro, fucking the next following Friday, like, yo, what's up? Shout out to Boogie Frantick. Like, we hear you, dog. We hope you get out behind them walls. All these other radio stations started giving me shout outs, and it was just like, it was a constant reminder of like, get the fuck out and make shit happen, dude. There's even times where I would listen to like these corny ass like top 40 like clubs, but they would play like some of the dopest fucking house, you know, and it's electro house, but it just would remind me of the raves. Like, it was a constant reminder of the lifestyle that I lived from start to finish, bro. Yeah. And like, I had options, you know, and I still made the best out of that opportunity, even though I wasn't surrounded by the greatest type of people. But I started to inspire some of these people. I started to really inspire like these people to make something of themselves. If it was a barber, the barber would like, yo, bro, I'm gonna come out and just start cutting hair. I'm like, dude, fucking do it. Like, do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was really, because of the way I lived and the way I committed myself to my craft, everybody else around me started to commit themselves to something as well. And they just, you know, some of them would fight. You could see that they're in a constant fight with themselves. And these are the this is a type of mentality that I was always trying to get away from. So I was facing one of my biggest fears, which was to be in prison, bro. Like, that was my biggest fear, was to be like my brothers. I didn't want to be like them. But somehow or another, I needed to face this fact because I needed that change. Remember I said I needed to change. I needed something to change in my life. I was losing hair. I was stressed out. I was drinking. I was like losing jobs. I was starting to lose control of everything that was around me. And I realized because I wasn't controlling myself. I was just trying to look for every opportunity to make something happen when I should have just been focusing on, you know, making this the tool. Not necessarily like this in control, but the tool. And that's, you know, like, prison really helped me out, dude. Because I was sober. I was able to really like consider everything. And like the emotions, bro, was crazy. Like, there was nights, phone calls, I would be crying. You know, I called one time and everybody was at a jam and they put me on the speaker. And like, I started crying, bro. Like, I was just like, fuck, dude. Like, I miss you guys. You know, like, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry. Like, I felt so guilty and at the time I didn't. And I was like, fuck, idiot. Like, I'm looking at myself going, you fucking dumbass. Like, I felt like I let everybody down, bro. And that was like the hardest thing to deal with. Like, my family, you know, and my friends, like all the kids that looked up to me. I was like, damn, dude, I'm doing exactly what I shouldn't be doing. Like, I'm being the person that I never wanted to be. And it was just like, I needed to face it though. I needed to face that so that I can really become like who I needed to be for myself. Because in the end, that's all we have. You know, it's like, yeah, man, it was difficult. It was difficult to deal with, but I always showed my mom like a smiling face. And I always told her not to worry. Like, my brother was crying mostly, dude. It was crazy. I never thought I would see my brother like in tears like that. You know, and like, I didn't even cry for him when he was locked up. I was mad at him all the times he's been locked up. And this dude's fucking crying. I'm like, fuck. Like, it hit so deep, bro. And some of the people that I like gave my life to, my loyalty to, weren't even there to support me, dog. And there's one of them is like bashing my name. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. It's a fucked up situation, dude. And this is only for the popping community, but I mean, in the world, we all aren't shit, you know. But I want to make something more than just this popping world. Like, we need to figure out ways to control this art form, you know, and not just make it a dance anymore. Like, it's got to be something more than this. That's how we're going to evolve. It's the only way we're going to survive.
It has to be an art.
Yeah, man. It's got to be. So, yeah, man, prison was interesting. It was rough. It was fun. It was funny. It was sad. It was dangerous. It was everything. Everything, you know? Like, I literally could have been killed because of who my brother was. That's real shit, bro. Because of who my brother was, I could be dead right now. And being locked up around people I know for a fact would have easily just cut my throat. It's scary, but it didn't happen. And I know that didn't happen for a reason. So I'm looking at every sign and just like, thank you. Like, thank you, man. Like, thank you thank everybody for like just supporting me, and who still does to this day. Who doesn't judge me for one act of desperation. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, it's crazy.
It's cool. There's this Polish saying that you true friends you can only know when you're poor, because that's the moment that you can know that the friends will be there.
Yeah.
The other guys, fuck them.
Yeah, and I feel like some of those dudes I still let down to this day. You know, like even now, it's like I travel the world, dude, and I'm solo, you know? Like I'm solo, but I don't forget where I come from. I don't forget. I tell people my stories. I tell people my experiences. And, you know, if you're no longer a part of these current experiences, it doesn't mean I'm like not who the fuck I'm supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. Like a lot of people get shit twisted, and to me, my loyalty has always been to this dance. It's always been to inspire somebody. And no matter what, like that's just never gonna change. And I learned that from my boy Hayes. Like my brother Hayes, literally, bro, is still a teacher to this day. And he does it for free. This fucking dude does it for free, bro. And he can't travel the world anymore. His passport was taken away, but he still survives, you know, and he still loves this culture that much. Like, dude's like the fucking biggest hero of my life. Because he's never mad. He's never mad, dude. I'm like, fuck, bro. Like, you've been through so much, you know? It's crazy, man. Like, I pray, and it reminds me, like, why I started to, like, when I jumped back into the scene and working with him, like, why I supported. Because it just, his optimism is like, it's a beautiful thing. You know, and I can't take that away from him. It's so dope. And stuff that, you know, you were still watching as a kid, you know. Danny, you're killing me. So